Everybody got their bag of coffee? Okay, we have a busy day today. We have a couple of interesting programs. You see the back of the room is empty. Everybody's up in Tallahassee or Washington figuring out ways of taking killers, but we're going to outlive them anyhow. So here we go. Everybody stand up. We're going to shoot the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Gatz, will you introduce our guest?
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to introduce the following guests and dignitaries who have joined us this morning. Let's try this again. I'd like to introduce the following guests and dignitaries. How's this?
Good.
Sorry. I want to introduce the following guests and dignitaries who have joined us this morning, and please hold your applause till I'm finished with the list. Edward Saul, Deputy Secretary for Emmerly Schlossberg, District 91. Tina Marciano from Congresswoman Lois Frankel's office. Mike Pratt from the Property Appraiser's office. Dana Ackerman-White from Commissioner Kerner's office. Jenny Caesar from the Outreach Office of Congresswoman Lois Frankel's office. Terry Mitzi from Senator Abruzzo's office. Freddie from Congresswoman Abrams' office, Catherine Thoreau from Representative Berman's office, Leslie Schreiber from Sheriff Rick Berman, I'm in good shape, Rick Bradshaw's office, Pam Berman, taxpayer advocate, Linda Berkman, taxpayer advocate, Debbie Paragus, taxpayer advocate, Rosemary Raymond from Lake Ridge Drainage District, Major Jeff Calisi from Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, Wart Mazer from the Sun Sentinel, Laura Corey, Regional Representative, South Florida Water Management, Sarah also from GL Homes. Thank you all for being here.
Well, we're going to start our day. I'm going to call on a few of the people who speak to us every month, bring us up to date what's going on in our district. And I'd like to start with Captain Eastman, Palm Beach Sheriff's Office.
Good morning. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, and I wish everybody happy upcoming holidays. I'm going to make this brief because I brought somebody to talk to you that I think is going to bring you some beneficial information. So, last month I told you crime had gone down a little bit, and the trend has continued with the exception of one area. This past month we had 12 stolen vehicles. Yeah, which is a lot. 7 of those came in one evening, and I can tell you they were all high-end vehicles, 6-figure vehicles. And there was one commonality there, and just in case anybody is wondering, I did get a bunch of phone calls. There were a lot of rumors that went around. They were all from the Addison Reserve area, and there was one commonality, and I know we talked about it the last time I was up here, and I know Captain DiVerdino previously talked about leaving phones in the car, iPads, stuff like that. And we say, hey, if you're going to leave your vehicle unlocked, keep nothing in there. Well, all 7 of the high-end vehicles, the key fob was in there. So, and the vehicles were unlocked. So they opened the car door and drove away with the vehicle. So make sure you're not leaving your key fob in there. I know it seems like something that we shouldn't have to say, but you know, it's a convenience thing and you don't have to put the key in there anymore. It just sits in there and starts the car. Make sure you're bringing those into your homes. So in terms of the crime, like I say, other than the stolen vehicles, that's the only thing that has spiked up. The District 4 office that we work out of right now is undergoing some construction. So temporarily, we're working out of the District 6, which is the Boynton Beach office. So in terms of, and it's listed on the door, but in terms of fingerprinting and stuff like that, if anybody needs that, you'd have to go up to the Pine Trail, which is all the way up near our headquarters area. So I recommend getting online and looking if you need to do that. Unfortunately, until we get something else figured out during this construction period, we're not going to be able to do it right here on Atlantic. Now, outside of that, like I said, I told you I'd keep it brief. I brought somebody here. This is Sergeant George Steering. He works for our crime prevention unit, runs it, and he's got a deputy with him. And they're going to cover some stuff that I think is important for you for the upcoming holidays. And other than that, again, hope you have a good upcoming holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Good morning. I'm Sergeant Steering with the Crime Prevention Unit for the Sheriff's Office, and I'd like to take this opportunity to talk to you about some tips for holiday shopping. Please, when you go out, if you can, go out in groups. Don't carry a lot of packages that overwhelm you. You have to keep your hand free. There's reasons for that. When they're looking for you to commit a crime, they're going to be looking for vulnerabilities. One of them is obviously you carrying too many packages, you're not paying attention to your whereabouts. When you get to your car, make sure you scan your car. Look in the back seat. Look at the car next to you. Make sure there's no one sitting in it. If there are, just keep walking. A little preventive medicine would really help in this situation. Again, they're probably sitting in the parking lot watching people come and go, shop. Like many people, you shop at different stores. You go back to the car, you unload, you go back to the stores, keep shopping. They're watching that. Put your items in the trunk of the car. Other things you've got to worry about, unfortunately this time of season, is your credit card. Do not take it out until you're ready to pay. There's the ability to scan your card. It's out of your wallet. Also, you can also use cash cards. Cash cards, just load them up with some cash. If you lose that, that's all you lost for the day. All right? In your purses, please do not carry important things, personal things. If you lose that purse, you don't want to be fighting over it. It's your life. It's not worth it. Cash is cash. Credit cards can be reimbursed. But if you keep personal mementos in there, do not do that because they'll make you want to fight for that purse, and that's how you get hurt. I got it. Good morning. Deputy Russo here. Good morning. All right, so when it comes to shopping online, I just want you folks to realize that as you're online shopping for gifts on Amazon or anywhere else, you have bad guys on the internet shopping for your information. So what can you do to prevent that? Well, you want to update your security software. Anti-spam, anti-spyware, your firewall, everything needs to be active. Matter of fact, for the holidays, PBS was bringing you a free gift, and it's right here, www.buycoin.org. If you have a pen, jot it down. That's where you can get all your free software, all right? So what about your personal information? Should you be returning emails that are requesting your personal information? Never. Not unless you contact your credit card company yourself. Then you can give that information. But never should you open up an email and respond that is requesting your personal information. So here we go again. How do you know a website is secure as you're shopping? You need to look for that padlock. It's in a locked position. It's right on top, at the bottom. Or you could look for the URL at the bottom of the page. So you want to shop with companies that you know. If a company is, especially those pop-ups, I stay away from those. But if a company is advertising merchandise, I would do a little bit of research. You know, Google it up, find out about that company before you go in there and put your credit card information. And of course, finally, with your bank card or credit cards, what you want to do is you could set immediate alerts in case there's any type of transaction. Whether you have a transaction you did yourself or whether there is a purchase withdrawn at your teller or anywhere else, you get that alert. Other than that, folks, we hope that you'll stay safe for the holidays and have a good one. Thank you.
Tony here representing Ponte County Fire. Tony Keeler, representing Palm Beach County Fire and Rescue. Our friends. Okay, can you hear me? Come on.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for giving us some time to speak today. Really quick, I just want to talk for the holidays coming up. Make sure that you guys are focused on, and your neighbors and your friends and your family are focused on with your decorations. Please don't use anything that's too old. Don't get like 3 rolls of the black electrical tape to tape up all your bad wires. With your trees, I know it's silly to say this, but we need to make sure we don't use any real flammable candles or any type of flammable things on the tree itself, especially if you're using a real tree. If you've never seen how quick a real tree, Christmas tree, catches fire and then spreads throughout a house, when you get home or on your phone, just YouTube Christmas tree fire, and you'll be. It's amazing. It's pretty awesome to watch, but also extremely dangerous. So just be aware of that. And then do yourself a favor and make sure you're checking on if you use space heaters or any of those types of gadgets in your house. Some of us tend to keep a few more things in our apartment or home that we've been in for a long time. We stack things up that we're trying to hang on to. We read the paper in the morning, we put it on the space heater, we go into the kitchen, we go outside to walk the dog, and that's how accidents happen, and that's how we have the fires that we have. Just to backtrack really quick, November was very good for us, especially for you guys, your residents in Western Delray and West Boca, where I am, as far as we didn't have any major incidents with our turkey fryers, which was nice. So congratulate yourselves on that. And I just want to make sure everyone has a happy and healthy holiday. Take care of your friends and your family. And if you see someone doing any of those things I mentioned with their decorations, whether it's menorah, a Christmas tree lights, anything inside or outside, just please reach out to them and let them know what's going to happen, and or at least the dangers of that. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, let's see. Michelle, Michelle? Where are you, Michelle? Okay. Senator Nelson, chief of everything. Come on.
Hello, my name is Michelle McGovern. Thank you, Bob. I am Senator Nelson's state director, but I am based here in Palm Beach County, and some of you have seen me from time to time here. And I just wanted to say hello. Our office is in West Palm Beach, and if you ever need assistance with anything, Social Security, Medicare, passports is probably one of my most popular requests this time of year. Our office is in West Palm Beach, and we're happy to be helpful in any way we can. But I also wanted to give you a quick little update. Everyone, I think, if you watch the nightly news, you know that Congress the U.S. Senate has passed a tax bill, and that tax bill now has to go to conference, and the House and the Senate need to agree on all of the piles and piles of things that they added to the tax bill. And then once they decide, the House has to pass it and the Senate has to pass it again. So I think that a tax bill will get passed, and Senator Nelson has some real concerns about the effects of that tax bill on a lot of our constituents, and so we're fighting to do what we can to take out the bad and keep the good. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm sitting over at the table with the other aides. And just thank you for everything that Delray Alliance does. We stay in touch with your leadership, share information back and forth, and thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Our commissioner, Mary Lou Berger. Hello, Mary. She always comes up at the end. She talks about stuff that really means things to us. Come on.
And I thought it was just because you saved the best for last. It was a joke. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Wake up. Good morning, everyone. There we go. It takes a little while, like the coffee, the bagel, the whole thing, and deep breath, and everybody's wide awake for the meeting. I have a couple things I want to share with you. One, my burger banner is out. I know, where's Megan? There she is, hiding in the back. Passed this out when she came in, so please read it. But very briefly, we are getting ready. Every year we go to Tallahassee, and we have what we call Palm Beach County Day. And we spend that day beating on the doors of the state senators and the state representatives with our agenda and things that we need to help the people in Palm Beach County. One example of that is, lost my train of thought. Oh, one of those.
Don't tell me you're getting old.
No, not really. Compared to some people here, 70 probably seems younger, but I'm pushing it. As a baby boomer, I don't like it one bit, but I'll get there. I'll get there. One of the things that I'm going to be pushing is working with Representative Schlossberg. She's the representative that filed the bill mandating generators in nursing homes. And so we will be traveling from place to place, office to office to office, pushing that agenda. I will also be helping Delray Medical Center. Mark Bryan, the CEO, will be with me up in Tallahassee. And for things that they need at Delray Medical Center to help you, we'll be going door to door to door to do that also. So we're going up early in January. I'm not looking forward to that. I have to take the Snuggies with me. Because it's an election year, the session is moved to January because people want to get home and campaign if they're running for election, running for re-election, or working on somebody's campaign. So that's why we go so early. Other than that, we had a changeover on the county commission. We have a new mayor, Mayor Melissa McKinley. Our vice mayor is Commissioner Matt Bernard, who covers part of the Delray area down here and on up the coast to West Palm Beach. And I'm sure that they'll do a great job, as have all the mayors that I've served under and with through my time as a commission aide and as the commissioner. And finally, I just want to wish everybody either a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, a happy Kwanzaa, or whatever it is that you celebrate at this very special time of year, and to all of you a very happy and healthy new year as we move into what could be an exciting time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. No, this way. Okay. I'm going to introduce our sponsor this morning. Come on up. Paul Bernstein from Alphabet. He will tell you about himself. We have Audrey from Companions Plus in the back of the room. Where are you, Audrey? There you are. Okay, Audrey is now advertiser in our website, and we appreciate that. Thank you, Audrey. Paul, you tell them about yourself.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Hi, I'm Paul Bernstein, and I'm Paul Bernstein. Everybody hear me? Yeah. I am an independent electrician. I have a company called Alphatech Electric, and I've been in this area for quite a number of years. I've been affiliated with the Alliance for many years as well, and appreciate the opportunity to be able to sponsor this breakfast and just spend a few moments letting you know that we're here and we're electricians. If you need service, we're high on service, we're low on price, and we'd really like to get to know you. If you give us an opportunity, please give us a call. I'm sure we can help you. You can call us at any time, day or night, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. We'll try to come as quickly as possible to help you. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Paul has been supporting us for years. He was coming to our vendor fair, he's advertising in our new advertising program, and Paul is a good guy. I can vouch for him. Okay, got to turn the page. Lori prepares me with everything. Okay. We have a little thing going on in Delray for change. We have Interfill. Last time we spoke about 6 living facilities, 5 of them being built. We spoke about a storage place being built behind the movie on Oriole Plaza. That's been approved. We have something new now. We have 7-Eleven. For many years, there was a piece of land there that they always wanted to build a gas station there. The communities around there were not for it, and we were successfully able to prevent that from happening. But this time, we're in a different atmosphere. And so you're going to get a 7-Eleven on Atlantic Avenue near, right across the street from 3G's. We did what we can to mitigate some of the nonsense stuff they wanted there, like serving liquor 24 hours a day and things of that sort. We worked hard on that. We got commitment from them and conditions of approval. We also have on Barwick Road, and quite honestly, even though it's not out of this area, they are still members of the Delray rank. They want somebody coming in on a little postage stamp size property and want to build 102 apartments there. To say the least, these people were very upset. We gave you a package on your desk, or your table, outlining the issues that are going on in the neighborhood. Particularly, I want to tell you that we are working very hard on Atlantic Avenue. I know all of it, the thing that we have, most people complain about. We've been working with the state road people, and they are trying to get them to adjust the timeline. Right now, they had the nerve to tell us that they think they may be done with it by 2022. I told them I'm 90 years old, I need like 2019. I want to drive on that road. So, Lori and I are working very hard on it. We're going to meetings and we got them to move. The most ridiculous thing, and those of you who know Atlantic Avenue, they were looking to widen Atlantic Avenue by building on the north side where all the homes are. And we're having trouble getting land. We're right across the street on the Kings Point side. And Kings Point was very cooperative, willing to give up some of the land. There's a straight run of land that was put away for some reason. They don't seem to know about it, but we do. And so we're trying to direct them, and that'll probably take a good number of years off of the project of obtaining land for those areas. I want you to all look at the book, the package we put there. I can tell you that we have 7-Eleven, Morning Star project. It's been tabled. Remember we spoke about Morning Star just west of the turnpike. There was a piece of ground there, a lot of little sheds and things. They wanted to build a big thing there, apartments and stores and stuff. But that's been tabled, and I don't think we'll see that again. We hope not. And let's see, Banyan Cove. Yes. I will tell you that a new proposal from GL for working with the county, trying to make some changes in the ag reserve and build some homes there. And they're giving up 5,000 acres north in Indian Grove, up north here. They're going to put that in preserve for them. But the main thing is that that project goes through. And they have committed to donating 165 acres on 441, just south of Atlantic Avenue, which would be made into a passive park. We do not have a park in Delray Beach. Every other area has parks, and many of them, and over here we have nothing. And for years we've been talking about it, and finally it looks like if things, with the commissioner's help, that they pass that project, we will then be able to get a park. They're going to build it and donate it to the county, so it's no cost to the county. And of course, we'll have a park, people will be able to go there. It'll be have bathrooms and picnic and other kind of facilities there. And we're looking forward to that. You're looking forward to hear from my most personal person here, Lori Pinnacle. Come on, Doctor.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, President Bob. Yes, good explanation. Just one thing about the park. We don't really have a park in West Delray. We have the West Delray Regional Park, 300 and some acres. That's terrific. But the county does not own that park. It's rented, it's leased, and the lease does end at some point. They can renew it at some point, but it's owned by South Florida Water Management District, and they may not have that park forever. It's not guaranteed. But with this 164 acres, this would be something that if the county accepted the project, that it would become, if the county accepted the fact that they want to give this land, remember the county has to always approve everything in the end, then it would be some open space west of 441, guaranteed to be a park. And it would show more open space west of 441, which is what we need to see. That just explains that. One important thing in this Nostalgic America magazine this month, we've got the timeline for that Atlantic Avenue widening, because all these projects that are coming on board, some of the commercial wasn't expected to be built years ago, and now there's more commercial being built, so we need that widening sooner. And that's our business, is to get that information to the Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO, which has now changed its name, you know, to the TPA. Okay?
Hiding from us.
Yes. Yes, so the Transportation Planning Agency. So that will be something that we're continuing to work on to get that moved up, to get the widening of Atlantic Avenue, so that that it will be commensurate with what's being developed there. We are going into our program now, and we have the IRS here, Teresa Lucati, in cooperation with Congresswoman Frankel's office. She's just for a few minutes going to explain what they're doing here this morning and how they can help you. And that will be now just for a few minutes, and then we're going to go into our very important keynote speaker, Joshua Gersten. Here's Teresa Lucati.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you today. As Lori said, my name is Teresa Lucati Bildig. I am with Taxpayer Advocate Service, and I have a few of my co-workers here with me this morning, and I'll introduce them in just a moment. But first, who is Taxpayer Advocate Service? We are an independent organization within the IRS. We provide free service to eligible taxpayers. And we are actually there's at least one taxpayer advocate office in every state. And our office, we come from Plantation, so we're just a little bit south of here, but not too far. Our mission is to help taxpayers resolve problems with the IRS and recommend changes to prevent the problems. So that's what we do. We are here today to answer any questions you may have. If you have any issues with the IRS, we can call our co-workers in the office, and we can actually look up your account and assist you today. So what I encourage you to do is pass by, we're in the back over there. Couple more things. We get involved, we assist taxpayers, and we protect your rights by ensuring all taxpayers are treated fairly and that they know and understand their rights under the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. So I know that a lot of times people like to kid about IRS and, you know, nobody has any rights, but we do have rights as taxpayers. And as Taxpayer Advocate Service, we are here to ensure that your rights are protected. So what happens if you have an issue with the IRS and you contact our office and for assistance, we will assign you to a case advocate, and you will always speak with that person until your issue is resolved. Now, we like to think that we always going to resolve it, you know, to how you would like it resolved. It's not always possible, but you will get resolution. You will get finality. Basically, we are not a second IRS. You should, if you have an issue, you should always try to get it resolved directly with the IRS. But if you cannot, if you are encountering a hardship or there's excessive delays, that's when you can contact us. So now I'm going to introduce my 3 co-workers in the back, and I'll have them raise their hand. I've got Pam Berman, Debbie Paniagas, and Linda Bergman. So I encourage you to come by, even if you're not currently having an issue, come by, we have a couple of brochures, come say hello. We are friendly. I know people like to kid that we're not, but we are friendly, and we will, talk to you for a few minutes. And just one thing, because I know that this is, holiday time, and there are a lot of scams going on. The IRS will not email you. If you receive an email that says it from the IRS looking for you to verify your information, do not even open it. Just delete it. And another thing that has been going on a lot lately is threatening phone calls, to where they call you and they say that they're calling you from the IRS and that there is a warrant out for your arrest and you need to pay immediately. And you need to go to Walmart or you need to go somewhere and get gift cards and give them the numbers. Those are all scams. Do not be afraid. If somebody was trying to arrest you, do you think they'd warn you? Or do you think they want to catch you by surprise? So please do not, if you get one of those phone calls, just hang up. Sometimes they'll try calling you several times, just keep hanging up on them. So thank you so much for your attention this morning. Again, please pass by. We will assist you, answer any questions that you may have. Have a great day.
And they will be here for the morning, and they'll be here till noon, 11:30, 12 o'clock. You can speak to them outside. If during the meeting, if there's something that important you need to, you can speak to them, but they will be here after the meeting, no problem. Now for our very important keynote speaker, who always draws a crowd and gives us incredible information, Joshua Gersten. He is a graduate of IHAP Cardozo School of Law, Yeshiva University, but also Rutgers, are you rah-rah? Yes, and he's a member of this, he was appointed to the Palm Beach County Bar, to the Community Association Law Committee and Circuit Court Committee. One important thing, interesting thing that he has in his statement about Gersten and Associates is that each attorney is trained to focus on results and to deliver quick and efficient responses to your legal issues, not expensive legal theories and propositions. Wow, isn't that great? That's what you want to hear from a law firm. And today, if you have any questions, there are cards on your desks. You can fill them out and just raise your hand and we'll come over and pick them up from you. He's got a few already that he's going to be answering. Please help me welcome Joshua Gersten.
Thank you, everybody. Happy holidays. It's so nice to see everybody again. Let me just get our presentation going here. The police officers took it over. Okay. It's quite the morning, quite the breakfast buffet for you guys, huh? You first had the police, then you had the IRS, and now you're going to have a lawyer talk to you. Okay, from the beginning, from the top. Fantastic. So, like Lori said, I'm Joshua Gersten. I am the attorney for the Delray Alliance. And one thing that I can tell you in the past 20 years of representing community associations is that probably over the last 5 to 7 years, with the explosion of online growth, people having the ability to go online with their cell phones as well as their own computers, is how they react and how they treat each other and how they treat board members. In particular, people have become abusive and they've become nasty. And it seems like it's not even any longer the anonymous type of situation. It's people who are logging into, as a member of their association's portal, and are just unleashing, for some reason thinking that's okay. The question is, are they defaming directors, and how do we go about dealing with it? Let's just start with the basics. Defamation. With defamation, there's two types. There's written, which is libel, and then there's slander, which is spoken. Defamation and the concept of free speech have always had a very long battle. How do you sue somebody for saying something when you have a right of free speech? In a nutshell, people have a right to insult you, but not to make false statements about you. And now within slander and libel, there's defamation per se, and we will get to that coming up. So what exactly is defamation? It's not according to a federal law, it's a state law-based common law concept. It is a false statement of fact communicated to a third party which is meant to hurt someone's reputation or cause them economic harm. So what does that mean? It has to first be uttered. So if somebody calls you a name or somebody says you've stolen and there's only you two in the room, there's no defamation. It was uttered, but it wasn't actually published. Here's the second part. The person that is damaged, a person whose reputation is hurt, most of the time has to actually incur damages or show damages. It's very difficult for homeowner association directors to show damages. How, in fact, would you show it when you're not getting paid, right? You're working for free. Somebody says you're stealing from the association. It ruins your reputation in the neighborhood, but you can't really prove out-of-pocket damages. You didn't lose your job because of it. You didn't have to pay XYZ because of that. So that is definitely a big stumbling block. Now, as far as the claim, I'm sure we've heard it before, it must be false. So there is a defense to defamation known as the truth. So as we go further, if you want to actually sue somebody for defamation, watch out and really have a talk with yourself whether or not what they are saying is true or could be seen as the truth. I've seen defamation cases get turned around on that, and the person that filed the suit ends up looking even worse. So the damages are a big problem, but there's one type of defamation that's in the common law in which damages do not have to be proven. It's considered so bad that damages are presumed, and that is known as defamation per se. So it still has to be uttered to a third party, but what is it that can be said that is so bad that actually damages are presumed? And that is that the person is afflicted with a terminal disease, a person engaged in criminal activity, or they acted in a way unbecoming of his or her profession. A fourth one also is if they accuse you of being promiscuous. Okay, so if you're, any of you guys out there, you know when you get accused now that you don't have to prove damages. Those are the worst type of damages you have to prove. So now there's private figure versus public figure. And this is where community associations come in. As a private figure, if somebody's defaming you, you only have to show the person that defamed you was negligent. They just were, they were acting without thinking. They said something that was defamatory. You were damaged. You have a case. But what happens if you're a public figure? What happens if you're a commissioner, or if you're a TV star, or anybody that's in the public eye? There's a different standard, and that is the standard of actual malice. That same standard has been applied to somebody known as a limited public figure, and that is you guys. Congratulations. You are now limited public figures in the eyes of Florida defamation common law. And what does that mean? It means that a person who's a limited public figure invites people to comment. They're doing things that people would naturally comment on. And in order to sue somebody, if you're a public figure, you have to show a reckless disregard for the statement's truth or falsity. So it can't just be a mistake. A private figure, somebody's negligent, they make a mistake. they could be sued for defamation. Here, with you guys, public figures, limited public figures, actual malice. Somebody has to intend to specifically harm you, and they have to do it with a reckless disregard. So it's a very high standard. It's hard to prove someone's intent, and it's also even harder to prove actual malice. So for directors, in order to sue somebody for defamation, the bar is very, very high. Let's just say, though, this comes down to a director is defamed, the person was asked to stop, defamation per se, so the director was stealing, and he was, unbecoming of his or her own profession as well. Two defamation per se things. Economic damages do not have to be proved. The director comes to the board and says, I'm sick of this, I want the association to sue this guy. And the association looks at him and says, let me speak to the lawyer. Can the association actually use its own funds to sue a member for defaming a director? And the answer is, it depends. It depends if what the person said also damages the association. So if the person says, you're stealing funds and the entire board is crooked, you've got yourself the ability to use association funds. If somebody says, you're stealing funds, and then for the first time, probably in a very long time, that person says nothing else, then that director is on his or her own. And I can tell you, it's very expensive, and I maybe know one or two cases where a director with their own funds has actually sued a member. So again, if it doesn't go on to the association's reputation as well, the association's funds cannot be used towards suing an owner. So again, sort of wrapping this up for directors, it's a high bar for you to be able to sue a member for defaming you, no matter how nasty they are. You have to be able to show damages or defamation per se. You have to show actual malice. The person with reckless disregard intended to damage you. Don't forget they have the defense of truth, and most likely you'll be funding your own lawsuit. So, with these bars, hurdles that are so high, what can be done? Directors are not running for re-election. Good people that would serve the association sees what happens to a director, and they don't want to run for the board. They don't want to put up with it. So what actually can be done? The first thing is, in your governing documents, communities associations are not governmental entities. So what does that mean? That means that an owner does not have the right of free speech within the community association setting. You guys are not government. So what can you do? You can draft rules that prohibit certain type of member conduct, certain type of abuse by members. You could make violations of these rules fines. And when the fine goes unpaid for 90 days, what happens? The board meets and suspends the common area privileges. I can tell you that one thing that usually gets people to conform their behavior is when their transponder is shut off because they haven't paid something yet, they haven't paid a fine, and now they have to drive through and have the security guard let them in and their guests in each and every time. It's a very effective way to deal with hostile members, but you need to have specific rules and guidelines. So, social behavior that is frowned upon is not something that is actionable. You would have to have rules defining abusive conduct or defamatory actions toward the directors. Now, sometimes, and I get this as well, I get letters from the attorney for the community association that I live in that I didn't do this or I didn't do that. And it makes me angry. And I think when it deals with somebody's home, it's their major asset. Anything dealing with their home and how they're taking care of it makes them angry. Let's face it, you do not walk into your relatives' homes and say, oh, your garbage can should be brought up a little earlier, or your front yard is strewn with garbage, or your pool is green, or your screen is ripped, or your home is the paint is horrible. You never do that. Now you have somebody sending you a letter like that. There's going to be a certain level of aggravation. So what the board needs to do on its end is to frequently communicate with members. Do not surprise members with rules. Send out frequent notices. Invite them to the meetings. A lot of hostility can be quelled if people understand the rules, they are prepared for the rules, and they understand that everyone is being treated the same way. Now, so we've got the fining, we're suspending them, we're trying to be more transparent, we got rules in place. That's going to sort of lop off the cream of the crop. That's going to lop off probably about 90% of the people. They'll change their behavior. For another, let's say 5%, take that person and invite them on a committee. Whatever their issue is, make a committee and make that person a part of that committee. So they can just vent about all their stuff within their committee setting, and that works fantastically. Okay? Make that person a part. You don't have to make them a decision maker, make them part of a committee. Tell them to sort of transform that energy into something positive. That leaves us with another 5%. And the other 5% of people are what is known as sociopaths. Okay? There are people, anyone that has a business that deals with the general public will tell you, I have clients that do, mine is limited to certain areas, but anyone that has a business that deals with the general public walking into a store, what have you, they will tell you a certain small percentage of people are out of their minds. And you can't tell by looking at them. You may not even be able to tell by their initial reaction to a conversation or your interaction, but they are sociopaths. They don't care. And this is the type of person that is abusive, that yells, has had their transponders shut off, has been fined. And you look at their behavior, it's not something new. If you look at this person's background, most likely they've sued neighbors or they've been in a lot of lawsuits. So if you guys can prohibit people in your association, it's something to think about. But these are the general characteristics of somebody that's a sociopath. Sometimes the police are even called, and they don't stop. Okay? These people are where you should not focus your energy. Those people are best dealt with like everyone else, and you're just going to have to understand, you will not change that person. You will not change that behavior. You have to keep a watch out to make sure it doesn't get violent. If it does, you contact the police. But don't spend your time trying to transform somebody that's been like this for the past 30, 40, or 50 years. They're not going to change now. And it's just unfortunate. I can tell you that in associations I have with multi-million-dollar condos on the beach, there's people like that. In associations I have that are very small homes, there's no people like that. And then it mixes in between. It has nothing to do with economic status. It truly is an organic problem with certain people. So as we're going forward here, I've had people come to me and say, you know, I like your idea about the rules, let's get this down. This one woman from Queens, no offense to anybody from Queens, but this is a true story. She's loud and she's obnoxious and she talks to people when they don't want to be talked to. I want you to write her a letter. You know, socially unacceptable behavior is not something that you can draft a rule about. Okay, so if you don't like the way someone's acting and it's not defamatory or abusive, it's just too bad. You're just going to have to, you know, deal with that and try to stay away from that person or what have you. But just someone being socially unacceptable in the way they interact with others is not something you should make a rule about. The rules regarding interactions with board members should not extend to member interactions. So, you make up rules how to treat the board, how to treat association staff and personnel. Do not take that extra step into member-to-member interactions, okay? You don't want a rule that says members can't be abusive to other members of the association, that even, you know, they're not board members. Because what happens is, you will suddenly be flooded with complaints by people complaining, he broke that rule, she broke that rule, he broke that rule, and it's none of your business. Your only business is board business. While you somewhat care about interactions amongst members, largely you don't, and you should not get involved. Resist the temptation to make rules that govern member-to-member interactions. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. Violent or threatening members should be reported to the police immediately. This is something that I cannot underemphasize. I've had people calling me, so-and-so's banging on my door and yelling, what should I do? You call the police. Don't call your lawyer first. call the police, okay? And when you call the police, if it's serious enough, make a complaint in writing. I can't tell you how many times you sort of had to nudge the police to take a report, and when it happens again, another report's not taken, you didn't want to go through the hassle, then there's really no record of it. There's nothing that you can base a continuing thing on. And if you have a member that's willing to do that and to act like in a manner that you might call the police, they're going to do it again. Your complaints always need to be in writing when you're contacting the police. Now, enforcement. Enforcement of these rules have to be uniform and consistent, which means if your neighbor, somebody that you hang out with who's a friend, one day loses it, starts defaming somebody, abuses a member of the association staff, somebody at the pool, like personnel or something like that, somebody in the clubhouse working for the association, you have to enforce against your neighbor just as equally as you enforce against a member you don't know. While doing this, you need to keep in mind not to lose sight of the association's purpose. Your goal as directors is really one thing, and it's repeated continually throughout Supreme Court cases in Florida. That is to maintain and increase the value of your common areas. That's really your goal. You sort of, like the federal government sort of spreads everywhere, and next thing you know, it's all over everything. You don't have the capacity to do that. So while you're making these rules, you don't want to make anything that is too overbearing, because you'll never have the time and ability to enforce it. Keep your eye on the goal. Keep your eye on the fact that the association is a business, and don't take anything personal. If you are a director and people are just commenting on things, or maybe you don't like their tone of voice and you take it personally, being a director is not for you. You have to have thick skin, okay? The goal is not to teach owners a lesson. That's never the goal. The goal is to advance the association, to increase the value of the common areas, which of course increases your own home values. Now, some final anecdotes that I've compiled over the last 20 years of dealing with situations like this is that successful directors need a strong backbone, wishbone, and funny bone. It's an unpaid job, okay? Don't take yourself too seriously. It's very, very important. Without you guys, the economy in Florida would just really probably collapse. There'd be nobody managing or watching over these huge assets and a lot of money. But just like everything else, do not take yourself that seriously. It's not meant to be a job that stresses you out, causes conflict in your home when you're away from it, or anything like that. If you find it creeping into that, it's time to get off the board. Remember that no good deed goes unpunished. I cannot tell you how many times this has happened where a board member has bent over backwards to have staff cut the lawn this way, do something this way, accommodate somebody who's constantly complaining. No good deed goes unpunished. It is true. It's just the way it is. I don't mean to sound cynical, but the fact of the matter is, when I was young and starting out as a lawyer, people would come to me and they'd say, you know, I don't have any money, I just have this small matter, and they'd give me this hard luck story. The people that weren't charged took up the most time. It was always that way. If you're charged even just a little bit, the whole paradigm changes, okay? So no good deed goes unpunished, and do not expect to be rewarded, okay? Nobody's gonna stand up and clap for you. It's going to have to be internal. You're gonna have to take satisfaction, the purest type of satisfaction, that you helped your community, and you weren't by and large recognized for it, and barely anybody knows it. That is a true achievement, okay? And to keep going like that is something to be commended. Finally, the old adage, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. If you cannot honestly say that to yourselves, it's time to move on, okay? So finally, in a nutshell, there's a lot of barriers to sue, but you can decrease the hostility that would even think of you suing an owner for defamation if you draft proper rules and you enforce them uniformly. And I was asked now to take some questions. If everybody has a card, I've got some questions in my pocket that were pre-submitted, and I'll try to get to all of them. Okay, let's see. First question is, where did I put it? Here it is, I got it, yeah, it's room now. The first question is, have you ever been to a Turkish prison? No. That's, wrong paper, sorry. Okay. Okay, this question is pretty long, and I'm not going to mention a specific association, but it wants to know where our property ends and where our property begins. There is no boundary markers, and we are a condominium association on a golf course. And that's a good question, because golf courses are being redeveloped, and some of these condominium associations have been around for 20 years, and the survey markers are obviously still not in the ground. There's two places to easily look without having to hire your own surveyor. The first one is you go onto the property appraiser's website, you type in your address, your own home or condo, you click on it, and then you click on View Map. And it will show you a map of where your unit is and your common areas, and as you click on it, it shows you who owns what and the boundaries. Okay? So that's available online by the property appraiser of Palm Beach County. The second area is the, which is a fantastic website back there. So good job on that. There you go. The second thing is look in your own governing documents. At the end of your governing documents, right at the back, there should be a survey. If not, if you have a master association, look in the back of those documents. There should be a plat diagram. Okay, that will show you the defined boundaries. Second question is, how much wood could a no, I'm sorry. This is actually a three-parter. What is the recourse of residents not receiving timely and accurate information about budgets and other issues? As far as budgets are concerned, the only item that you have to get to your home or to yourself without specifically asking for it is the actual budget. You're supposed to get that 14 days in advance of the budget meeting and then after the budget is passed. Any other information, you send a letter to the association as part of the official records. If you do not get a response to official record request, you can file a complaint with Tallahassee. They take those very seriously. Second question is, let's see, regarding allowing visitors and other people to bring pets and other regulations onto the property. I can tell you one thing, if you live in a no-pet building, you do not live in a no-pet building. For one reason or another, it doesn't matter really what the reason is, but I can tell you that pets are a thing, and we're just going to have to get used to them because, you know, I could have a dog, I could take a dog, and these are actual cases I've had at a building that had a very 25-pound tiny pet limit. 2 Rottweilers, okay, were allowed in by the EEOC, that's the department, because the person went online and got a support animal. These are not the service animals. These are support animals, emotional support animal online. It cost $5, and we had no choice but to accept it. I had a pit bull bite a housekeeper of like a neighbor or somebody like that. The pit bull got loose. The pit bull was declared a dangerous dog. The pit bull was still allowed to stay because it was an emotional support pet. Okay, hogs, pigs, cats. I even had a case where a woman was complaining that we told her she could only walk her dog in a no-pet place in these areas, and she complained that she could only walk in those areas. She wanted to walk in the street where there's no sidewalk. We looked at her doctor's note. The doctor's note said she needs the dog because she can't walk around. Guess what? It was not found in our favor. Okay? So if you live in a no-pet building, unfortunately you don't. Okay. Building captains charging residents to attend building meetings and $50 for renters. That I've never heard of. That is horrible. I don't know who would pay, who possibly pays to attend a board meeting. I don't know why you would pay to attend a board meeting. But if you are being, prohibited access to a board meeting because you're not paying, you can contact Tallahassee. They'd be interested to hear that story. Okay. Are there any more cards? I see anyone's hand. Anybody have any more cards? There's a card right there. Okay. Thank you. You got any more, Laura?
Any more cards down here?
Last call.
I also got a very nice quote on behalf of Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. The price of freedom of speech is the right to be offended. This is actually a good one.
Last call for
Thank you.
questions. A card? We have a card.
Okay.
Thank you. Good.
Okay. Who is buried in Grant's tomb? I've always thought it was Grant. I never understood that joke. Okay. If you're paying dues for common areas, can the association close the clubhouse and charge every time someone wants to use it? If you want to use a common area room for your exclusive use, yes. Okay. If your common area, if you want to use your pool for a party, yes, they can charge you for that. Okay, rules, the clubhouse does not have to be open 24/7, but it shouldn't be locked and you have to, ask somebody to open it every time. Rules should be established regarding how a clubhouse is operated with rules of operation. And when the clubhouse is closed during those off-business hours and you want to have a party, the association does have a right to charge you. But to charge you every time somebody wants to just enter the clubhouse, or if it's not open normal business hours, that's problematic and needs to change. Okay? And let me see, is that it?
Is there a card back there? No?
Card.
Okay, well,
What?
here's the card.
So you can just ask it, I guess.
Okay, we don't have a card.
You have to think of a fake question before the real one.
Yeah. Well, Joshua will be here for a few minutes
Oh.
after. You could come up to him and
We're good.
ask questions
Okay,
personally.
you guys are great as usual. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Just one announcement about the IRS people in the back of the room. That came from Congresswoman Lois Frankel's office in cooperation with her. Thank you very much to Congresswoman Frankel for bringing the IRS Taxpayer Advocate Service to us today. This is what it's all about, programs that assist you in your community. And next month, it's going to be all about scams. We're going to have State Attorney Arenberg explain how these scams are prosecuted, these white-collar crimes. And also, we're going to have the PBSO, Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, provide a program. It's called VAST, Volunteers Against Scams Team. We're going to see that next month. So a great program all about scams.
Okay, thank you all. We'll see you next month. Drive careful.